All right, Sydney from Sydney. I just love saying that. Sydney from
So do
Sydney.
I.
This is one of my favorite topics. It's about influencers, and they sometimes come in a second, right time, right place, sometimes over a lifetime. When I speak, I generally talk about one of my first influences was my grandfather. He was from him, my grandmother, my mom, my aunt were from Kyiv, Ukraine. They immigrated to Canada. And when I was about 5 years old, he used to take me for walks in the park and he talked to everybody. And one of the times I said, I called him Zeta. I said, how do you know all these people? And he said, well, one day he pointed, I smiled at that guy and he came over and smiled at me. And we started laughing and talking and now we're friends. We're doing stuff. And at the same time, every time we do that, someone else comes to us and smiles also. And a 5 year old, I'm thinking, oh, this is pretty easy. I just got to smile at people. and and that's as brilliant as it was. You just had to do that. And then I realized, there's a psychological, there's a physiological, there's a whole thing about just smiling that can make a difference. Kind of related to what we just talked about in the previous conversation,
Yes.
about your attitude and being, that. And so that was an influence on me. And then there are many more. Can you share? I know there's probably plenty, two or three people that have been influential in your life.
Yeah, absolutely. So I think my parents have been very influential. The both looking at the way they've immigrated and then worked and then given to community. So helping, my mum was teaching at the Armenian Saturday school here, and I saw the commitment there. And my dad was also involved in the sports and the community running of the community. And you see how much effort he made to the annual picnics, and he was famous because he's also a chef, so he'd do all the cooking as well as all the games and whatever. You look at that, and you see the joy in people from a 5-year-old child who was playing a game with my dad where he would blindfold himself and have all these kids with these Coke cans tied to their legs, and they'd have to run around in this, and dad had to try to catch them because of listening to the Coke cans rattling, and they'd get all excited, to making games for 80-year-old women where he would blindfold them at the picnic and then get them to peel potatoes to see who would peel the cleanest potato without seeing it, right? And so, and you see the joy you brought out in people that, and you go, okay, there's something beautiful about that. And it wasn't money driven, it wasn't ego driven, it wasn't, status or title. It was just pure giving and bringing joy to others. So from my parents, absolutely. And so we spoke about my ventures and businesses and whatever. Actually, I'm not money driven. And that's okay if you are. Like, I've got kids, one of them is money driven, and I say, be that, good for you. That's what drives you, and align to that. That's okay. So there's no judgment there. It's just that self-realization. So absolutely my parents. And then been really lucky, like the universe gives lots of good people. So my public speaking coach, so encouraging, Nigel Bryan, all the time, giving me encouragement and pushing me all the way to the youth championship when I was younger. When I got into my first few jobs, the guys that guided me to not sort of just follow the money trail and go after the trading room activities, but be involved in the bigger picture, and wanted to develop me. And then outside of that, it's funny, your parents have become good guides, but today I actually really look up to my kids and learn from them. And, they're 19, 17, 14, and all three of them teach me things all the time. And you're like, wow, we're lucky. So I think the messages and the guides are there from everywhere. It doesn't always have to be someone older or someone necessarily an expert or wiser. You just have to be present and be open to the opportunities and the mentoring that's around for you.
Yeah, that's brilliant. I also learned when someone told me a long time ago, he said, Mark, you won't know it, but you don't know how many people you're influencing every day also. And you have a
Mm.
choice to being positive or not.
Yes,
But it could be a major influence, it could be a minor, but you are out there. And I think that's something we should also remember. That's important.
totally. And whether you are into putting your ideas, thoughts, lessons on social media, or you do it in person, I'd encourage you to keep sharing, right? I actually did a little post that said, um, dance like no one's watching,
Right.
but post like everyone is. Because there's a lot of people that are being influenced by you. They may not tell you, or they may not hit like or comment on your content. But then I've had this personal experience. I see them in the street. They stop me. They go, "Oh, we see your content all the time. We played it in our team meeting. I shared it with my wife. We go, oh, Sidney from Sydney's put up today's episode. Let's see what he's got." But I never knew that that's how much engagement there was. And then just even 2 days ago, I received a private message from someone that said, "The thing you just posted, I really needed to have heard this." And she didn't want to say it publicly in the comments or didn't even hit like on the thing, but felt the need to tell me that. And so whether you are on social or even if you're not, but if you have the chance to impart a little bit of love, a little bit of wisdom, there are a lot of people that will appreciate that. So absolutely, Mark.
Well, that is what Leaders Who Care is all about, and it's more than care. It is about love, and it's not a fluffy thing that is not belong in business. You know, the happier employees, the happier people, the happiest ones, everybody, hearts and souls are filled mostly by one thing, and that's belonging. And what you're
Yes.
talking about is that interaction makes people feel like they belong, and it's so important, even just to say thank you to whoever did something, out there. So thanks for sharing all that. Really important.
Pleasure.